All right, now we are learning that Congress MP Mr. Shashi Tharoor has in fact shared his candid take on the Me Too storm in the Malayalam film industry. Mr. Tharoor has given an exclusive interview to CNN News 18 in which he is demanding that MLA Mukesh must resign. Those who've had positions in AMMA have resigned, and others also have to take the moral responsibility. This is what Shashi Tharoor has had to say. When an individual who did not have an authority in the system has been charged, he has every right to defend himself if he does not admit the charge. Listen in to this exclusive conversation with CNN News 18's managing editor, Mr. Zakir Jacob.
And I want to talk about an issue that's sort of raging through your home state, the film industry in your home state, about this whole Me Too wave. Do you see this as sort of a seminal moment in that industry, in that society, in a way that women artists are saying, no more, we want to live by a different set of rules, and therefore the male artists have to sort of learn to live with this new set of rules?
And not just the artists, the male producers, male directors, male people who actually, call the shots on a set. They have certain responsibilities, and that's what this is very clearly established. Well, in some ways, we've been hearing rumors to this effect from the casting couch to various practices in various film industries around the world and certainly across India. But at least one can say that it's the women of Kerala who had the courage to demand an inquiry. I'm actually slightly disappointed very disappointed by the state government sitting on the report which was submitted to them in 2019 by the all-women committee that wrote the report, the Justice Hema and two other senior women who had studied this and who had done a very thorough job. And when they did release it, they redacted 69 names to protect identities, which means the identities of both the accuser and the accused. But that's really something which I'm glad that I gather a court has taken note of and directed the police to fire suo motu FIRs where there is a report of a cognizable offence. I mean, I was shocked when a minister tried to excuse this by saying, well, the women didn't complain to the government. I'm sorry, they complained to a committee appointed by the government. And therefore, that committee should have been taken seriously, and I'm sorry that 5 years were lost in the process. The state government did not do the right thing. But now that it's coming out, and even though all those 69 pages were redacted, FIRs are being filed, I think it will be very good to see some serious action. What is more important is, will the other film industries around the country also sit up and take notice? Because it's idle to pretend this has only happened in Kerala. On the contrary, Kerala is a place where women are enlightened and strong, and they had the courage to demand this and to conduct and speak honestly to these to the committee of inquiry that came up now with this detailed report, and finally it has come out into the open. I think it's very important that the rest of India's film industry wake up and realize that they need to look at the mote in their own eye.
How do you speak to the fears that, look, this whole thing, the news cycle is on this story now, people are talking about this story, the channels are covering the story, but in 15 days' time or a month's time, they will move on to something else, and then it'll be back to business as usual. How do you speak to those fears?
I do worry about that because, let's face it, Nirbhaya happened in 2012. Eventually, despite the outrage, the candlelight protests, the dharnas, everything else, what happened? Yes, a law was passed. Has it been properly implemented? And what kind of deterrent effect did it have? And all the subsequent rapes and assaults that we've seen, culminating now in another expression of societal outrage in Kolkata. Yeah. I mean, the fact is we are in a situation now where we have to do some much more fundamental root and branch inquiry into ourselves as a society, into the practices. I have been urging for some time now, even going back to when I was a minister in the government, that we need to bring in gender sensitivity training for our boys at a very young age. Start them when they're 6 years old and telling them to understand the importance of respecting women. Try and make sure that at every stage we have institutional arrangements that protect women's interests. So whether it's in a film set, having separate toilets for women, which don't exist apparently, right down to in a hospital having women's rest areas so that this rogue could not have come in and attacked this lady because she was resting in a seminar room. There was no other place at the end of a 36-hour shift for her to lie down. I mean, you have to create common sense institutional arrangements to protect women in the kinds of situations which they have every right to be in. I mean, we have to stop this patriarchal nonsense of why was she there at this hour or why was she on that street. Of course, we need to have better conditions on the streets. We need to have better street lighting everywhere in India. We need to have better police patrolling. We need to put more resources into all of this because our women have the right to pursue their lives and their dreams while feeling safe. This is a basic human right, and we should certainly fight for it.
I'll come to that Kolkata example in just one second, but my final question on what's been happening with this Malayalam film industry. One of the persons who's been accused of these grave sexual assaults is an actor named Mukesh. He's also a public representative. He's an MLA. And there's a lot of pressure saying he should step down as a public representative because he will impede a free and fair investigation. Where do you stand on that?
Well, look, I think those who had positions in AMMA, the Association of the Malayalam Film Industry, and who were implicated definitely had to resign, and they've done so. The secretary was named in a couple of the charges. But also, I think others who may not have been named or blamed have to take moral responsibility because they presided over an iniquitous system. That's one thing. When an individual who did not have a position of authority in the system has been charged, he has every right to defend himself if he doesn't admit the truth and face an inquiry or a court case or whatever. So I think there is, I mean, I understand many in my own party have also called for his resignation, and there is, a public thing there. But if he claims that he is innocent and that a court trial will prove him innocent, he probably, has the right to stand up and try and clear his name. But the process should start, and of course people should, and the police and others should look into the details of this. We've gone past the days when, women who had the courage to come up with allegations were just dismissed as, oh, he said, she's saying one thing, he said anything else, what's the proof? Because there is a context, and the context in this report is a pervasive atmosphere of abuse. And if an individual, for example, has had complaints given to the committee about repeated instances of behavior by several different victims, then I think you are looking at a different pattern. You can't just discount everything as hearsay.